as I take command, tearing through the levels, leaving no one unscathed. I'm the king of the game and I won't be swayed. But there's something that I need, something to push me higher. Talk show Chris Collins and HenricK, they're on fire. They're watching all the rage quitters, exposing them with pain. They keep in gaming real, that's why they get all my respect from me. Rage quit, Chris and HenricK, don't you ever stop. You're the voice of the gamers, splintering rage quitters on the spot. With the winning after, you're the champions we need. Rage quit, Chris and HenricK, you're the heroes of the gaming breed. Turn around the video game mayhem. Chris Collins and HenricK, the rat bring the chaos. Gaming news and industry talk, they got it all. Rage quitting, head banging, it's a metal brawl. Mental meltdown, gaming in flames. Chris and HenricK bringing the thunderous rage. Video games and viral content. Venom kings ripping through pixels, the ultimate gamer getaway.
What's raging, gamers? Welcome to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. How you doing, HenricK the Wreck?
You know me. It's Wednesday. I'm here to rage. What about you, Chris?
Hey, man, this is going to be such a jam-packed mayhem show. We can't thank you guys and girls enough for always joining us live every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because without your support, this show would not be possible. But hold on to your controllers, gamers, because we always like to start off the show with a bang and show you guys a lot of viral content that is circulating all across the World Wide Web. So let's go ahead and set the tone. So over the weekend, the basketball world was short-circuited over what might be the biggest blockbuster trade in history, unlike my co-host HenricK the Wreck, who had no idea what the hell was going on, right? You were just kind of like lost in the sauce.
I was just hearing what my coworkers were talking about and being like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting."
Yeah, you weren't like restless. You know, you didn't get that feeling at the 11th hour, like, oh my Lanta, Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. I mean, the whole world was going crazy. I mean, even in video game terms, Luka is straight up untouchable, while AD is more like valuable, but comes with that DLC injuries. I mean, come on, they did call him Anthony Street Clothes Davis, but we do thank you for your service here in LA for bringing us a championship. But that's besides the point, because naturally fans ran to NBA 2K to see if this trade even made sense, and my NBA mode took one look and said the following. So let's go ahead and take a look.
Okay, let's see if this works. Anthony Davis, Max Christie, 2029 first round pick for Luka, Maxey, Kleber, and Markieff Morris. There's no way this works. There's no way. You're asking me to give away a valuable asset when none of the assets I get back seem nearly as valuable. That's not happening.
He couldn't believe it. He was like, "Really? Why is it like that?"
But I mean, that's so wild. Even Ronnie 2K, that everybody, celebrates and praises, or even the athletes that, even despise him in a sense, because, your overall rating comes through that man and his team themselves. But you know what? Gosh, even they can't predict it all the time. But let's go right into the comments, because you forgot the help from the Jazz. That's true. It was a three-way trade. But even given the fact that the Utah Jazz were in the mix, I mean, you're a gaming guru, HenricK. You wouldn't be my co-host without that knowledge. So even if that was a three-way trade in the game, do you still think it would have happened?
No, I don't think so.
There we go. Even 2K said, nice try, Diddy. Yep. They're like, there's no freaking way. How do you sell a guy that's in his prime, 7 months ago, was just in the NBA Finals? I mean, we understand that he got swept by the Boston Celtics, but now you're bringing a 25-year-old superstar into the City of Angels? Wow. We are truly blessed to be alive in Southern California. And then the last comment we got is 2K being realistic is effing wild. I think that was kind of a sarcastic joke. in a way, right? But man, that wasn't the only thing that was kind of going wild or going very immersive throughout the World Wide Web, because video games, as you guys might know, it's like you should be, stepping away from the screen every once in a while, but sometimes, the video games could be so immersive that your brain just says, nah, we're living here right now. And so as we get older, we go to college, and so gamers are taking things to the next level, bringing their favorite games into the classroom like it's a side quest for extra credit, whether your professor asked for it or not. So, like, who needs boring old PowerPoints? By the way, I saw this, that they're upping their subscription prices by more than 30% again. So I think we got to start to get really creative. And so why not bring Minecraft into the mix? Check it out.
Hey, you know what? I guarantee you that everyone who left that class was like, "Yeah, that was a good presentation." Even if it wasn't, they remember it.
Yeah, because it's almost like, was that a pre-recording? Was he actually in the game? That's the part where I'm like in awe over this video. But let's go into the comments and see what other gamers had to say. Presentation 100, knowledge 10. That is a legendary comment right there. This is actually wildly impressive. Yeah, 100,000 people are starting to say, get with the times, you old hags. Some of you professors out there, not all of you. But, like, come on, you got to recognize real is freaking awesome. That was awesome with the Minecraft. And how the F do they do that? Yeah, see, that was the thing that I was having a hard time with. Do you think that was a pre-recorded HenricK, or do you think that was actually in the game, and did he finesse everybody? Or who even cares?
More likely it's a pre-recording, but still, even if it was, great job, man. I appreciate that.
But hey, we got one more here for y'all, because sometimes diving into your favorite gory, over-the-top video game is an absolute thrill, ripping, tearing, and blasting through enemies like a true gaming god. That's the reason why we play video games, right? But other times, it's so awkwardly overdone that it feels like a secondhand embarrassment in 4K. Kind of like that entire experience of watching Demi Moore in The Substance. If you haven't seen it, you won't know what I'm talking about, but if you have, oh my gosh. Do you relate to this?
Did he put it in his ass and moan?
I think I might be good after that one. This man ripped my asshole out just to put it in his own asshole. That is so crazy. That is a terrible way to go.
And I guarantee you that someone under this video said it's a skill issue.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I mean, it's just the fact that, like, even when you watch The Substance, it is so cringy throughout the entire sitting of that entire movie. And then you get games like this where you just go, where are we even going? But glad to say, despite all my deaths in Sekiro, I never went out like this. Yeah, I don't even remember this. You know, if this was a bug, should this ever be patched, or should
it takes
that
a
always
very, very specific set of requirements, I guess, for people to die like this in such a disturbing manner.
A particular set of skills? You started sounding like Liam Neeson in Taken or some shit. After I saw that my first time, I didn't try to defeat them anymore. Yeah, you know, it's like those Soul-like games. You know, once you get something of that nature, can I just run by you and never return? Yeah. And then Dung Eater taught them well. Yeah, let's try to avoid more of that kind of style of gameplay in future run-ins. But hey, this is a moment during Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show where we want to encourage you, the gamers, to join along for the conversation. Get up, get loud, hold on to your controllers, because we got a lot of hot takes that are here on this show. And take a moment to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a live show. That is my QR code to my YouTube channel. But go ahead and check out my co-host as well.
Yeah, see that QR code? Yo, go ahead and scan that one too. Don't forget, because that's going to my YouTube channel, and tons of awesome content is there just waiting for people to watch. So go check it out.
Oh, yeah. But hey, HenricK, what time is it? Are you ready to rock and roll?
It's time to talk about a game. So let's talk about a game, all right?
Hey, let's get it.
Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. Koei Tecmo shadow dropped this game alongside the announcement of Ninja Gaiden 4 being in the works. This is a remaster of the 2008 original game done in Unreal Engine 5, so you can expect it to look like a modern game but have some 2008 quirks. But did they make any changes to the gameplay? Let's take a look and find out. The gameplay of Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is still an action-adventure game. Ninja Gaiden is a series known for being difficult going all the way back to its inception on the NES. This game is no exception, as the combat flow is high risk, high reward. While base enemies can be easily overpowered by your use of weapons, magic, and combos, so can you be overwhelmed. Combat is fast-paced, and when you're on top, it makes you feel powerful. The game also has a lot of gore and dismemberment, which makes a comeback in this game. However, you can tone this down in the settings if your stomach isn't up to the task. Aside from being able to play as Ryu, you are also given the opportunity to play as Momiji, Ayane, and Rachel, characters known already to the fans of the series. Overall, the gameplay is roughly the same as the original with slight differences, but staying faithful to the original version. So how about that story? The story is the same as it was back in 2003 and still mostly serves as a vehicle for interesting locations and enemies more so than poetic or philosophical substance. To sum it up, the Spider Ninja Clan and Greater Fiends have teamed up to bring back the Archfiend. Ryu Hayabusa, the main character, goes on a mission to stop them, and along the way, the CIA is also involved. While maybe a simple story, its delivery is memorable, especially due to the 2008 campy feel. But now the question still stands. Pause. We're going back to 2008, Chris, with a remaster. Your
Another
favorite.
one. Oh, I know,
it's
right?
your favorite.
Oh, I know. It's just like it served it on a platter that no one asked for, right?
Hey, but I've seen that there's a huge difference in this game. Not even just visually, but just gameplay wise. This is a game that you actually might want to pick up because it is really, really just viscerally good. I want to inject this straight into my veins.
Yeah, I mean, strap in because Ryu is back after 15 years and he's bringing pure mayhem with him. I think what we love about these kind of style of games is there's no stamina bar, there's no mana bar, there's no tedious loot grinding, just that raw reflexes, absurdly fast action that requires from the best of the best gamers like myself. Obviously something that HenricK struggles with, and an unhealthy amount of limb severed. Maybe that's the fact. Maybe we could dispute it another time, but this is Ninja Gaiden 2 Remastered. It is that definitive edition that no one asked for, but everyone secretly needed in the industry. I mean, come on, HenricK. I mean, after years of Souls-like games making us suffer, it's refreshing to jump into a game where the only thing stopping you is your own skill and maybe the camera.
Yeah. I would say, too, that, while this game it could be compared to a Souls-like, it's not entirely a Souls-like.
No, it's more hack and slash.
It's a hack and slash. It's just a hack and slash that can be a little frustrating to play depending on your skill level and whether it decides to throw you into the dumpster and maybe slash you on the way in there, because it's gonna do that to you many times if you really let it to. But it really is a great change of pace from what we've been seeing in the industry a lot, and not even just in the terms of the gameplay. The gameplay, we've already said that's a good high point of the game. And the story, while it's not really the best, it doesn't take itself seriously.
It might, yeah.
and there's a lot of games out there that take themselves seriously and then they kind of like fall on their face. So is this maybe what we need, is more of like going back to stories that don't take themselves seriously and they're fun because of that?
Okay, I think you're making an excellent point that I wanted to touch on as well, because, you gotta love some of the cheeky dialogue that's in this game. It's almost like you're hearing a soliloquy, in a sense, from Shakespearean textbook or whatever. But like 1 second, you can clown on the plot in a sense, but like the story locations in this game alone, like, come on, you're slashing through a medieval Japanese village, and then next you're battling it through like futuristic soldiers with laser guns, and before you can even question it, you're getting down against a giant werewolf named Wolf in a Roman Colosseum in Venice. So you're like, where are we even going with this entire thing? It only gets weirder and weirder, and then all of a sudden you're in a nightclub where there's like a Playboy certified badass who is crushing dragons with a massive hammer. Oh, by the way, just because every samurai has to do this on their to-do list, let's just go ahead and go to hell and fight Satan while you're at it as well. You gotta love these kind of style of gameplay. I mean, it's brutal, it's bloody, it's absolutely unhinged, and if you missed the glory days of hack and slash, well, this is your wake-up call.
No, it's definitely a reminder of what the industry was, because it wasn't just this game that did this back in 2008. So many games took risks and decided, yeah, you know what? I think it is going to be cool to go to New York. And then after that, go to
on
the
top
Coliseum.
of the Statue of Liberty.
No games really do that anymore in the same way. It's an awesome reminder that we really needed, and I would definitely advocate for studios to take risks like this, even if it means that you're bombastically saying we're not taking ourselves seriously.
It's so true. I mean, just give us the weapons that we all want, especially in a samurai game. You got the katanas, you got the shurikens, you got the nunchucks, you name it. Each weapon lets you dismember enemies with surgical precision. But the kicker in this game that's a little bit different this time around, losing a limb doesn't mean the enemies stop fighting. No. These maniacs get even more determined. They're going to be crawling towards you just to blow themselves up like a kamikaze farewell gift. And what is the catch, you might be wondering? Dismembered enemies become even more dangerous. That is the best part about it. It's like one last spiteful act of defiance. And gamers who are seeking that extra pain, this is something I always love and bitch about at the same time. This, I guess, is the closest thing to the Souls-like genre. Some bosses are brutal, memorable, and rewarding, while others, let's just say, we can put them in a vault, HenricK, and place them at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, never to be seen again. You know who you are. I won't spoil it if you haven't played the game.
Sounds like you had a little bit of difficulty with the camera.
I had a little bit. No, I actually had a little bit of an issue of having a skill issue, I would admit. This time around.
That is true.
I
It
didn't
really
find the
is just a
camera to be
skill
that.
issue.
I didn't really find the camera to be as bad as what some people were saying out there. It seems like it's for like the 20-year-old heads who haven't been in front of a video game in forever and was like, wow, I can't handle this. Any real gamer will know they can jump right into this thing and have a lot of fun throwing it down, especially with a lot of these new levels where you can play with these additional characters, right? You got Rachel, you got Anya, you got, what's her name? Mama G? I'm like,
Momiji, yeah. Don't mind Chris. He can't say these names to save his life.
It's okay. I'm American after all. But like, you can beat the game and you can unlock extra costumes and chapter challenges just in case if your the experience wasn't suffering all over again enough for you. But again, in a world drowning in open world collectathons and Souls-likes that make you want to parry everything, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is the much needed punch to the face that this industry really needs right now. It's fast, it's violent. I would say it even reminds you of a time when games didn't hold your hand, in a sense. They just threw you into the deep end and just watched you struggle. So welcome back, Ninja Hell. We missed you. I thought
and I
this
have a
game was
question
fantastic.
for you, Chris. So
Yes.
you're saying it's a fantastic game. So what makes this remaster different than, say, I don't know, The Last of Us 2 remaster?
Yeah, maybe I'm a little bit biased here, but I'm missing the days of these linear story play. Things that don't have to be so open world and immersed as, something that we're going to be seeing with one of the must-play games coming up in February 2025, which is Monster Hunter Wilds, for example, being placed in such a massive map. You know what I mean? Sometimes if you just get straight to the point, like that old school God of War trilogy style base, it justifies wanting to revisit and playing games for $50 and then being able to explore maybe even a series that no one thought people would even be interested in. And it's almost like a gamble from the studio to be like, hey, listen, look, we know Gen Z and even Gen Alpha haven't really experienced it like you and I did back then. And if people truly want hack and slash, will the dollar amount sell, or will the expectations live out? I don't know. I really vibed with it, HenricK. I really felt like it was a repeat. I feel like a lot of people can have a lot of fun with this game.
Oh, definitely. This is a repeat for me as well. You're gonna have fun with it. Even if you played this game when it originally came out, you'll still have fun with it because it's a little different.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to be nitpicking about it. I mean, obviously, people will say, there was the variation back in the day on the PlayStation compared to the Xbox 360. There's always a little bit of tweaks and turns. Some people felt like there should have been even more enemies because, remember, hack and slash really requires even more enemies to kind of fill up those little tiny level selection spots. I'm losing the words.
Just to make it not seem barren and you're not actually in the action.
But it seemed like they wanted to try something new, kind of modernize it a little bit in a sense for, the 2025 crowd. And for myself, I felt like it was a repeat. It's a lot of fun. I think you're going to really jive with it, but I'm curious on what you're vibing with, HenricK.
Yeah, it's a repeat for me as well. I definitely recommend this. This has my stamp of approval as well.
Hey, well, you heard it from us, and we want to know from you gamers. Is this a game where it's, where you just go, listen, we saw it one time before, but let's just bury it? Or is this like endless fun, and would you like them to revisit this franchise and make it something new and refreshing again?
Well, they are. Ninja Gaiden 4 is on the way. So stay tuned for that.
That's hey, fair enough. But hey, we got a lot more left here on Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. So HenricK the Wreck, are you ready to rock and roll?
Oh yeah, it's time to talk about some news, baby.
Hey, let's get it. What's good, listeners? Welcome to Patch Notes, where my co-host HenricK the Wreck and I discuss gaming news, industry talk, and so much more. Let's get it. February might be the shortest month, but it's stacked with enough new games to make your backlog weep. Let's talk about what's dropping this month before your wallet files for a restraining order. So first up, Avowed, Obsidian's latest first-person RPG where you roam the world of the Pillars of Eternity, but with a fresh storyline. You're investigating a mysterious plague in the Living Lands, which means lots of magic, sword fights, and probably some poor NPC coughing honestly in the background. That's why we love Obsidian Studios after all. But let's go ahead and show you guys a little look at some gameplay from Avowed.
What's the first thought that comes to your mind when you see this? Because for me, it's Skyrim. I know
Right.
it's not going to be entirely like that, but that's my first initial impression.
You know, that's the same feeling that I got as well. And so you hope that this game comes out with the bang, because then when Elder Scrolls 6 starts to come around, we don't want to look down on Obsidian Entertainment, even though we know they're not a part of it. We just want to know the best. And so when we get this kind of just this nice little package that comes to us at our front door in the month of February, I'm very excited, but also at the same time, too, HenricK, the gameplay reminds me a lot of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
Oh.
You know, a little bit choppy in a sense of that combat, you know, kind of first-person aesthetic. I know it worked almost 10 or 15 years ago, but will it translate to be the same in the modern era in 2025? I guess that's the only slight concern that I got.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see when the game comes out. I mean, so far it actually does look really enticing as a
Really enticing.
title to look at and see if it does have a successful launch. Because if it does, they might actually be intrigued to do more in this series.
Yeah, they are definitely banking on Avowed to be a blockbuster hit. It's been in development at Obsidian Entertainment for over 5 years, making it one of the longest ongoing productions in the famed studio's history. And Obsidian is best known for creating some of the best RPGs. You might know them, gamers. Fallout New Vegas, Pillars of Eternity, The Outer Worlds, and plenty more. So if you want to get this game, Avowed launches on Xbox Series XS and PC on February 18th. And so fans of Kingdom Come Deliverance won't have to wait much longer to dive back into the medieval chaos, because Henry's back and he's still figuring out life out one sword fight at a time. So this sequel picks up right where the first game left off, meaning if you made some questionable decisions last time, well, good luck. Just like before, it's an RPG-heavy experience where your decision shape the story. So choose wisely, or you might end up broke, exiled, or somehow in a duel you absolutely weren't prepared for. Gotta love it, fam. So let's go ahead and check out some gameplay.
This is definitely a game to keep your eyes on in regards to the biggest games of the year. This is one of the bigger ones, and I'm very excited to get my hands on it. It's already out, but stay tuned because we'll definitely cover this on the show.
Yeah, we definitely will as well. And I think what's really refreshing about this sequel is that new players don't need to finish the first game before playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I know you see the number 2 and you get kind of scared. You're like, oh crap, do I really even want to jump into it? But like, I got to tell you, gamers, throughout the story of the sequel, the events of the predecessor are referenced in detail throughout various cutscenes and dialogue, which I would say do a really good job catching up players up to speed on what happened with the tragic sacking of Henry's hometown, his subsequent desire for revenge, and so much more. So it's gonna be a blast, but I gotta call out IGN a little bit. I mean, how lame, with over 1 million people getting so freaking excited for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and the only thing that they can highlight on their entire gaming news platform is two guys kissing each other. Like really, and so all of a sudden you get like this quote unquote woke mob that's coming after the game. All of a sudden, it's not like it was in the Dragon Age: The Veilguard, like we covered, that cringy ass scene with the bard where you were forced into it. Again, these are decisions you get to make in the game. Guess what? That's called real life, right? And so that kind of stuff just gets it's kind of insulting. It's really insulting to a game that as you just referenced, and I'm there with you, HenricK, I really do truly believe we got a contender for Game of the Year, and it's coming in hot really early in the year 2025. So that's very, very cool. And
and unfortunately, it is one of those situations where you can't really blame the woke mob in some sense, because all they see the major publications do is things like that.
stuff
And
like
it really
that.
does take away from the experience of the game, which I'm sure is amazing.
Exactly. It is amazing. And you guys are definitely going to want to play this game. And like HenricK did tell y'all, it is out today. It is launching on PC, Xbox Series XS, and PS5. So what are you waiting for? Actually, you got to wait until after the show. Come on, you're watching Rage Quit after all. But let's go into the third and final game, because Monster Hunter Wilds is here, where Capcom once again asks, what if we took a massive, terrifying monsters and made them even angrier? This time, you'll be exploring the ever-changing Forbidden Lands. We're trying not to get eaten by something that thinks you're a protein bar. Okay? So let's go ahead and take a look.
It's Monster Hunter. What else you gotta say? If you know what that means, you know this is gonna be a banger. Maybe not as much in the West as it will be in Japan, but I guarantee you'll still enjoy it if you like Monster Hunter, because it's just that like name brand, you know?
Yeah, it might get a good, strong reception. But remember back in late November, they set out the beta, and it became one of the most downloadable betas at the time. And I mean,
That's
you know,
true.
a lot of people are getting kind of excited because, you know, previous games would take you to places within, you know, separate and interconnected maps rather than one large open space. So in Wilds, however, things are going to be changing. So I think that's a new addition to the game. You know, the game will take you to a place in a far larger map known as the Forbidden Land. So if you want to venture off into this mystique world, Monster Hunter Wilds launches on PS5, Xbox Series XS, and PC on February 28th. But we only highlighted 3 must-play games in February 2025, but we want to know from you, the gamers. Open up your UAV. What game are we missing on our radar? Let us know what's good.
And Multiversus. That's going to be a topic for today because, you know, actually this game was a little promising when it came out, but unfortunately it is now officially heading for the retirement home. As Player First Games has announced that Season 5 will be its last, that's right, and on May 30th, the Warner Brothers platform fighter will take its final bow, meaning no more chaotic crossovers where Batman throws hands with Shaggy and Scooby-Doo.
I know, right? It seems so freaking promising, and then all of a sudden they had to butcher it all for a... It's sad.
Yeah, and if you haven't downloaded it yet, you better move fast because Multiversus will be delisted from the PlayStation Store, Microsoft Store, Steam, and Epic's Game Store. So, if you want to settle that Superman versus Tom and Jerry debate, I mean, who has that in their head, right?
Hey,
One
now's
last
your
time,
chance.
You got to do that.
You ain't lying,
But,
bro.
of course, gamers had their thoughts and they shared them online with the release of this news that is shutting down. So let's go check out those comments.
Yeah, let's dive right on into it. So the first comment that we got here is, ain't no way they killed it twice. The rare Morbius, oh shoot, there we are. The rare Morbius double flop. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I know. Isn't that kind of wild? You know, they launch it, they kill it, they revive it, they get everybody's
And they didn't
hopes
even
up.
tell people clearly enough that the first time they launched it, it was a beta.
Ah.
So we're going to take this back and, we'll relaunch it in a few months.
Yeah,
In the meantime, just go play our other games.
yeah, it's scummy. But then you also get comments like this. It had potential, but the relaunch was abysmal. But then you got a follow-up comment to that thread, and it says, shit balance and missing features sure killed it quickly. Had a bunch of clan mates in my Brawlhalla clan play it, and all come to the same conclusions. Balance was awful. Features from the beta were missing somehow. Game just wasn't really fun to play. But let's go into another one. The fact that the game was at its best during its beta was sad. It had a lot of potential, but the fact that they basically keep it as a mobile gotcha game and locked everything behind a paywalls is ultimately what killed it. Oh, I wonder, especially considering Suicide Squad killed the Justice League and how Warner Brothers Discovery operates. Yeah, paywalls could definitely be the killer. And then we got a comment like this that says, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised at how much fun I had with the beta. Playing for free, unlocking stuff actually felt fair without feeling like I absolutely needed to pay for stuff. Characters seemed to level up and unlock at a fair rate, and in-game currency felt fair. The main release came, and then the heavy microtransactions killed my enjoyment. Isn't that what a beta's there for? To kind of build up the audience and then say, gotcha.
Yeah, to make them excited for this new frontier of fighting game like Smash Brothers, but not quite.
Yeah, they really were banking on LeBron James from Space Jam 2 to really hold on to that target audience. Yeah, clearly that wasn't
enough.
The case. So Warner Brothers Games is a blight on the industry. Warner Brothers is a blight on every industry they are in. Warner Brothers will siphon the life out of everything they touch. They're actually the type of media company that pretended to be in Space Jams too. So, yeah, there you go. I mean, there's a lot of people that feel that way. But then there's others that say the Cartoon Network properties were so criminally underutilized for DLC. We should have gotten Dexter, Johnny Bravo, KND, Courage, etc. And then another person says, I imagine they planned for this to be the live service game for a long time and spread out the heavy hitters, which would have worked if everything outside the gameplay wasn't a total nightmare to interact with. Some of that also is why, actually, I'll reserve it for this last comment. Let's jump right on into it. I liked it enough to spend a few bucks on it, bought a skin or two. The core of the game was really solid. It could have been a serious Smash Brothers competitor, but executive interference and heavy monetization manipulation ultimately killed it. And Warner Bros. Probably won't learn a thing from this. Bingo! Look at Marvel Rivals. Turns out that not having to unlock characters makes a huge difference. But then again, it's like they dropped just as much of a large lineup for free as well, like Marvel Rivals. But every time this game comes up, HenricK, people say, oh, it was a great game except XYZ, and then rattle off a longer list than Skyrim questlog. So, what is it? Is it actually great, or are we just nostalgically gaslighting ourselves?
I mean, how can it really be nostalgic if the game has only been out for, less than 2 years, right?
Well, it's growing up
situations...
on that Cartoon Network era.
I mean, yeah, you are right in that respect. The characters are nostalgic more than anything else. But this is a classic situation where the studio lost the script. And the script was to follow what Smash Brothers did. And what Smash Brothers did clearly is successful because that's I'm sure, multi-million-dollar avenue of revenue for Nintendo. But with this, they didn't get that same crowd of people excited for it, even though, a lot of the characters people grew up with. And a
Yeah.
lot of that has to do, I believe so, because of the whole not live action, live service aspect. And why do they want to do that so badly? Well, Warner Brothers is looking at the success of the industry. The big games that are being bought are live service games.
Yeah. And so
Unfortunately, that's just how it is.
do you feel like this game would have worked better if it was delivered as along the lines of like a Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder too, HenricK, as a second part, would this game have been a little bit more successful if they actually put a little bit more time into the graphics? You know, because part of me too, when I first saw this game, was like, I don't know. I mean, playing on the Sony back in the PlayStation 3 era, we used to have, the PlayStation All-Star Battle Royale. I don't know if anybody remembers that back
yeah,
then.
yeah.
That
I
was
remember that.
That was so much fun. It was fantastic. And I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a lot of Sony gamers out there that would love to see that come back again. I mean, we got Astrobot bringing back the whole entourage. Why can't we see the same and get a little bit of a rival competition with Super Smash Brothers and then put a little elbows towards Nintendo to actually deliver on another Super Smash Brothers game? I think we need friendly competition, but part of that, do you think that played any kind of factor?
I'm not sure if gameplay, or sorry,
Being
graphics
away
over
from the
gameplay
live
would have been
service.
the whole thing that would have saved it. Really, it's the gameplay. Like a lot of those comments were saying, it felt better in the beta for some reason, and then when the actual game came out, it was like, this isn't really that fun to play. The reason why Smash Brothers is so successful is that gameplay loop is very polished, and it's also designed in a way where even if you don't know really the high end aspects of the gameplay, you can pick it up with your nephew or your niece
Yeah.
playing right by you, and they actually might do good enough to beat you because the game
Fair enough.
is easy enough to pick it up. Even if they have never played the game, they'll pick it up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I feel like these kind of style of games too probably would have worked better on like Netflix. Especially when Netflix games is trying to build up, their co-op multiplayer experience in the year 2025. We've highlighted this a bit already. They banked on Rockstar GTA, old school style of games, but Multiversus probably would have sat there better, in my opinion. But again, the demise follows the news that the project was seen as major failure for Warner Brothers Discovery. We know this because in a financial call from November, the company explained that Multiversus performed far worse than expected, resulting in around $100 million write-down for its games sector. That brought the total to $300 million after the launch of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League in January, as of last year. And we also got word, just as of last week, Variety reported that Warner Brothers Games head David Haddad, I might be butchering your name, sorry brother, but he is leaving the company following last year's turn of events. And I gotta throw this to you, HenricK, because we're seeing the downfall of massive IP, and the company plans to double down on just 4 titles. And we highlighted this the last 2 seasons. Those games are Hogwarts Legacy, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, and DC, in particular, Batman. We know this because the CEO, David Laszloff, added to the conversation. So do you have faith that they can turn this thing around?
Just please, 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 Warner Brothers. Listen to the people who are buying your games and maybe even those not buying your games. Why are they not buying your games? Well, when you hear that Hogwarts Legacy is getting a sequel and you really enjoyed the first game, but the second game is going to be a live service, does that
Yeah,
really
that's
sound exciting? Not really.
No, not at all. Yeah, that's what gets kind of scary, and I think we're gonna kind of get a true feeling of what they're gonna be cooking up with the latest, Game of Thrones game that's gonna be dropping
Yeah.
at some point in time in the future. But we want to know from you, the gamers out there, do you have faith that Warner Brothers Discovery can turn this thing around and really deliver on those flagship of awesome video game or cinematic IP to bring into the gaming world? Let us know what's good. But
And speaking of live service, Chris, let us know what's going on with a couple of the biggest players in the space.
yeah, you ain't lying, because one of the biggest streamers of the past decade, Ninja, has officially dropped his verdict on the latest multiplayer shooter climbing the charts, because if there's one thing he knows, it's what dominates the sweaty lobbies of the internet. So during a recent stream, Ninja declared Overwatch, quote unquote, dead and gone, thanks to Marvel Rivals, blaming both Overwatch for fumbling the bag and Marvel Rivals for actually knowing how to hold on to it. So apparently Blizzard's hero shooter got benched, and Iron Man didn't even need to use his ultimate to do it. So if you missed what Ninja had to say on the state of Overwatch 2, let's go ahead and hear from the man, the myth, the legend himself.
Behind us.
Yeah, they're not. Listen, Overwatch is dead and gone. And what's it? I mean, it's just so unfortunate. Like, here's the thing, dude. This game is going to be so. First off, they already have a new map coming, which is incredible. Second, they have so much lore and so many heroes and villains and anti-heroes. Like, dude, they have enough for updates for like the next 10 years.
You have an IP gap. You have like a player relevancy gap. Like, there's just so much. They're ranked.
Yeah, I mean,
This video it does speak volumes about the public perception of Overwatch, because I'm right there with them. Overwatch, that game died years ago, unfortunately.
yeah, I mean, when Ninja speaks, gamers respond in troves with the following. So I'm really curious on what people are going to say. Is it all going to be with Ninja, or are they going to start clowning him? You know how the online world is. Overwatch dropping the player versus everyone is what certified its death. They left Overwatch 1 update list for 2 years to work on Overwatch 2 and its story, just to it to be Overwatch 1, but 5 versus 5 and no CC. I mean,
I feel with this comment so heavily because I was right there in the trenches, just huffing that copium. Yes, they will come out with more and more updates. Just give them time. And then they said, oh yeah, we're working on Overwatch 2. Here's a big trailer. Overwatch 2 gets delayed. Overwatch 2 comes out finally after 2 years of no updates to the main game. And what is it? It's in beta because they're not finished. And then what do? They don't finish it.
You almost wonder if this is a good thing for Blizzard, just walk away from the franchise and just start focusing on something new. But then again, you got Overwatch taking out loot boxes is still one of the biggest fumbles I've ever seen. Oh wow, that's like one of the
I
first
get why
times
they took
people
them
love
out, because a lot
No
of
one wants
countries
them.
stopped making it legal to gamble in video games. But
right, you're talking like the ultimate teams.
No one likes the system they replace it with, because you could actually earn the skins with loot boxes. But with this new system, since Overwatch 2, you gotta pull out that wallet to get anything.
Yeah, and you're also speaking on the European Union trying to crack down on loot boxing, as they are starting to view this as gambling. Rightfully so. I mean, come on, if they're going to be labeling, Balatro, solitaire kind of style of game, as gambling as rated mature, how is it that your son can play or daughter can play an E+10 video game and then put money into Ultimate Team mode to then get a randomized player that you don't know is going to be good or ass? Yeah, that kind of sounds like I'm gambling for something that I want. But then we get comments that say gameplay in Overwatch is 10 times better. And what? Like, actually, if the gameplay was better, people would be playing it. So clearly it's not. Do you view it that way, HenricK? I know you were a little bit more in the Overwatch, world than I ever was.
Yeah, but you know what? Nowadays, what am I playing with the boys? I'm playing Marvel Rivals, because they actually update the game. They actually have, like Ninjas said, so many things they can pull from. And they've gone as far as doing the thing where they misdirect people who are trying to speculate on what happens next. And what's so great about that is they could actually work on some of the stuff, leak it out purposefully, and then be like, you know what? Gotcha, guys. We're going to actually release that 3 seasons down the line. What's coming next? is this other thing.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. You're speaking on the NetEase ordeal where, basically they're lying about certain roster of characters coming to the game so they can discover who's actually infiltrating
Yeah.
their studio and giving out all the dirty leaks. But then we also got comments that say it's frustrating because Overwatch was fun, but Blizzard doesn't care about it. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Maybe that might be a good thing, but others don't view it that way. Clearly, they would like to see Overwatch be back at its prime time status. But who else got scammed the $40 for Overwatch player versus everyone mode? Lots of people did. I'm sorry about that. And then last, Ninja never played Overwatch. What's his opinion matter? Yeah, I figured somebody would be throwing that in because obviously he is a young lad in the Fortnite scene. But HenricK, some gamers are quick to dismiss Ninja's hot take, claiming that he's not exactly an OG Overwatch resident. Fair enough, but he didn't exactly get his loot box fix from the start. But does he have a point about Overwatch 2 being dead and gone now that Marvel Rivals is swooping in like a shiny new skin but with better matchmaking? Or not? Because I do see some people starting to complain about, the ranked matchmaking system and, how they're creating this new trend of addiction where you do start to get really good, but then they start to pair you with a bunch of lames, and then your track record starts to go down, and there are some people out there that think
doesn't
that
every
that's...
game do that? The whole engagement?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. That's kind of a way to try to pull you back in, reel you on in, like the fish that you are, caught on the hook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But-
and I believe that Overwatch could actually come back. But to do so, they would have to invest the time and money to fix all the problems that people are having and more, actually, just, adding more on top of that, because they would need to win back the public favor of people who left the game because they didn't update it or they didn't fix an issue that really annoyed them, or they changed something and now that change is not good, but they are sticking to their guns and, not reverting the change, like the 5v5 versus 6v6 argument, for example.
Yeah,
They are fixing that as an example, but at the same time, it's not just that. It's so many things, and I'm not sure Blizzard would really want to spend that money rather than go the easy route and say, yeah, we're just going to drop this and do something else.
Yeah, to be honest with you, HenricK, I think I'm going to totally disagree with you on this one, my man.
Really?
I feel like Overwatch is completely done and over with. I mean, think about Marvel, for example. They have hundreds of major and minor characters that they could easily put into Marvel Rivals today, right? Compared to Overwatch, who has to invent all of its heroes from scratch. And it takes a very, very long time to do so, as evidence has showed with Overwatch 2. So it's like, to me, I just feel like it's really, really tough. I know we're only 2 months away, 2 months ago the game dropped, right? I mean, that is crazy. We are in the honeymoon phase. But you start to think of some of the greats like Stan Lee, right? Someone who brought Marvel its cinematic universe. And it's just wild to think that a comic book from the 30s? Who would have ever thought that they would be utilizing their property to turn this into an esport? Think about that. That is insane to think that we're going to be getting an esports of this kind of vernacular next month. And then who knows whether that's going to be brought into the Olympics. I mean, how weird is that? We're going from movies to theme parks to video games to esports, all within the property of Marvel. Sit on that, gamers.
Well, it shows you how big of a brand Marvel really is when it comes down to it, and how much of a push is behind it as well, because I guarantee you there's been a lot of funding that's gone into not even just the game, just as right now, but the development of years up to the release of the game.
Yeah, it's so true. And what we want to know from you, the gamers, are you vibing with this take? Does Ninja have no credit to stand on when it comes to speaking on Overwatch and the future and the grand scheme of things to come with this franchise? Or do you just feel like Marvel Rivals is really going to just outpace a lot of games out there, and we're not going to see renditions of this kind of style of genre anytime soon because Marvel Rivals has basically kicked them out the door while they hit their head on the way out. Let us know what's good.
And guess what? It's time for another round of Reddit debate where a
Oh,
gamer
yeah.
asks the question, which game's golden era can't be replicated anymore?
Okay, I
Pretty
like
intriguing
this one.
question.
I do. I like this one.
And of course, the internet wasted no time answering with a list of responses that range from totally valid to, well, highly questionable. So let the chaos reign.
But that's why you gotta love Reddit. Reddit always brings that energy. And so we might as well jump right into the first comment. So this one says, I think early multiplayer in general can't really be recreated. Not only have people changed, but information travels way too quickly on the internet now, and a meta gets established that most people insist on following within the first 1 or 2 months of a game releasing. That sounds like Marvel Rivals.
Yeah, I was gonna say also like Overwatch.
Yeah, exactly. I think I do miss those days of split screen, maybe having to tape a piece of cardboard so, you know, your cousin or your brother that's trying to steal your next Madden play won't be, you know, finessing you when you're trying to always run a run. You know, those were the glory days. The other one that we got here is Lucas Arts era. Okay, I like how they focused on a studio instead of thinking of, you know, just the years. Dark
That's a good
Forces,
answer, though.
right? You got Dark Forces, you got Jedi Outcast / Academy, you got the Rots movie genre, you got the Bounty Hunter, Qatar 1 and 2, you got Battlefront series. Oh my Lanta, it felt like year after year after year, a new banger of game was released. I missed that shit. And, you know, they have been teasing us for a while. Will we ever see a remastered in this light of day? We will have to wait and see. The next one that we got here is Rock Band Guitar Hero era was something special. I miss that so much. Still remember my mom angrily coming into my room at 2 a.m. telling me to go to bed or play a different game that wasn't constant, loud, effing clacking. Yeah, that's pretty funny. They were
And now
pretty
to
freaking
get
loud.
the full experience of this, you'd have to go to like an arcade or something where they have a Guitar Hero cabinet, because most people don't have a guitar controller at home to actually get the full experience.
Yeah, I think that's the problem too. It is a bit of a commitment nowadays to try to convince people. It's now become the new, hey, do I want to buy a steering wheel with foot pedals or do I want a Guitar Hero? But I do know Phil Spencer has, you know, said in the past that he really felt like he missed the mark by not bringing Guitar Hero originally to the Xbox ecosystem in the beginning stage. Obviously, later on it did, but I would like to see this rendition happen. I always think it was cool, even with Rocksmith coming into the game. You know, video games have gotten so good now that you can actually plug in real instruments into some of these kind of style of games and play with your actual guitar. So that was a great moment in time. And then we also got ones that say, when we used to gather at the arcade to play fighting games, it was probably about 30 years ago. Mortal Kombat and various iterations of Street Fighter 2, not to mention all the SNK titles, but your quarter up to reserve your spot. Put your quarter up to reserve your spot. Yeah, that's kind of funny. Nickel. Nowadays, good luck even trying to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you can still go to some places that have arcade cabinets, but they're few and far between.
Yeah, you know, I think of like the days of just running into Nickel will always be such a awesome moment. Thank God, you know, we have the likes of Dave and Buster, but it doesn't quite hit that nostalgia like this. But then we got comments that say, for me, it was Halo 2 LAN era. Nothing beat filling a house with as many CRTs as we could and forcing the big 30-inch TVs to be the 4-player split-screen consoles, and always, no matter what, somehow ending up with more Halo 2 discs than we started. Cables running through the halls, the break for pizza, where everyone talks shit and then right back to it. In general, I really miss couch gaming, but LANs were the best.
Yes, this is an era that I heavily want to come back to, because that whole couch gaming thing, that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, it's really
Everyone's
hard.
just playing online with each other at their own houses.
Yeah, it's really hard to get like 8 of your buddies together in one setting just to be getting really, really loud. And we all know that the computer houses today across the nation haven't been doing the best over the years because clearly.
Yeah, and Halo 2 is the best, subjectively at least, of the original trilogy of Halo. So this is a perfect choice for a couch gaming session.
You know what? Amen to that one, brother. And last, he goes very recent, but Pokemon Go. I highly doubt that there will be another event in-game that will live up to the first few months after launch. It got huge amounts of people walking around downtown in the local waterfront at midnight just to play. I think that's very fair. That was a very real hype at the time. I remember people walking all around Los Angeles. I remember that funny ass video. I think it was with Logan Paul actually, where he's in the middle of like a massive park and then he's like screaming at the top of his lungs, I just got a Dragonite! I got a Dragonite!
Oh,
and
I do remember that.
All these people start running in hordes to try to, capture it, only to find nothing at all. But there are still shadow ho-hos
the Santa Monica
there.
Pier, that was completely packed. And I do remember seeing all the videos on social media specifically because I was in jury duty when that game launched. And I was stuck there for a week and a half.
But then it get kind of that's funny. It did get a little weird though when they started placing a lot of these gym battles at like a Burger King or at churches. I thought that was always kind of strange. And then I think it kind of lost that amusement because it's like, can I just like walk up to the park in my local neighborhood complex and find a valuable Pokemon? Why do I have to go down to a village or whatever? And so, again, now that I'm thinking about it and speaking it into existence, that was a great time. But that wasn't exactly what I was thinking for the golden era of gaming. But I'm wondering from you, HenricK, is it the time when every game had a manual thicker than a college textbook? Or is it the days when you had to blow on your cartridge like it was a birthday candle to make it work?
Oh, those are great times, both of those. But my choice for this is definitely the World of Warcraft Classic era, the vanilla era. And yeah, there is a classic mode you can go back and play now, and that has been there for a few years, but it's never going to be the same. It's never going to be that same excitement of you hop on the computer, you go level your character, you die so many times because you don't know what you're doing, and you know what? You're having fun because no one knows.
And there was no YouTube to be able to go jump online and watch a video. None of that. It was, I'm there with you on that one. I mean, a lot of these comments were very spot on. People are looking for those fun campaigns, those solid co-op, split screen chaos. They even want that balanced multiplayer instead of, a lot of days we're getting loot boxes, empty open worlds, and gameplay designed for zombies, it feels like. But I had to sit on this, and what I was really vibing with, what to me at least, the PS1 and the Nintendo 64 era is the golden era. And the reason why I say this is I feel like every game felt groundbreaking. I mean, one day you'd be playing a 3D platformer with the wisecracking gecko, and then next you'd be deep in the survival horror nightmare where the camera angles were designed to make sure you never saw what was about to eat you. I mean, you got studios that took risks. You got Metal Gear Solid. You got the Ocarina of Time. You had Super Smash Brothers. You had GoldenEye 007. I mean, it was absolute classics. We had no battle passes.
Speaking in my heart,
you had
Chris.
no day one patches. It was just pure, unfiltered gaming. Now you're just bloated with open world with a checklist longer than a CVS receipt. Okay? Can we keep things simple? Yes, we can. Those to me, gosh, that was probably what? 1996, 1998. I'm probably getting it wrong.
1999, around there.
Yes, around that kind of era. But that was such a fantastic time. And, it really kind of really set sail for, like, what I really love next, which was the PS2 and the PS3 era. For sure, that was, like, some of the, PS3, GameCube, even the Wii in a certain extent really brought some gameplay. But I feel like this was the golden era that kind of shaped for what brought us such excellent gameplay. But then again, we want to know from you, the gamers, are we completely ass backwards? I mean, is there something that you're seeing as like, no, listen, this was the golden era in time? let us know what's good.
Which you'll definitely have those thoughts, because who doesn't, right?
Exactly. And we want to thank you, all the gamers, for joining us and tuning in live every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube, Meta, and Twitch, because without your support, guys and girls, this show would not be possible. And so we wanted to take a moment to share with y'all our QR code. So this is to my YouTube channel. Go ahead and like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a live show.
Yeah, and see that QR code? Give that one a scan as well. It goes straight to my YouTube channel, where there's tons of awesome content across all different sorts of genres. So go check it out and drop a comment for me.
That's right. And so for you gamers out there, we love you. We can't wait to see y'all again next week, and have a fantastic rest of the week. And let's just have some fun. I know that's not so much video game wise, but do you got a favorite in the Super Bowl this upcoming Sunday, HenricK?
I'm not big on sports, but I always stay on the lookout for those commercials at the very end.
I'm going for the 3P. I think it's going to be the Chiefs. Someone start hating. Let me know what's